Okay, sorry everyone. That took half an hour. With the help of Ben, we're here. Looks a bit dark actually for me. That's probably better. So apologies. We've a lot of technical issues today. So we've actually lost half the class. So I guess I have to decide what. Maybe we'll just do 5 minutes breathing meditation, and then I'll do the guided meditation. So I was going to do on impermanence. So just to settle myself and yourselves, particularly myself, let's just do a little bit of meditation, breathing meditation. So thanks for waiting very much. I still have 5 people there, that's great. All right, so let's just come into the body and mind. I don't have my gong at the moment, so I'll just settle into that. First of all, the body, scanning the body, making sure we're comfortable, evenly balanced on the chair or the floor. Just checking for any tension in the body. Coming into the breath, watching the body move with the breath. And while we're moving, watching that breath, we can motivate, doing the practice not just for our own benefit, but for all beings. Just resting our attention on the movement of the body with the breath. When thoughts come into our mind, we just watch them, let them go, come back to the breath. Staying with the breath, the full flow of the in-breath, full flow of the out-breath. All right, we'll leave the breath meditation there. Ding, that's the gong. Just relaxing. A moment, we'll have a short break before we start the guided meditation. Right, so the meditation I've chosen is impermanence. I thought all these relate to our situation now with the coronavirus and what's happening. Impermanence. I had a look at His Holiness the Dalai Lama's written a letter to the public, and it's online. So one of the things he says about this pandemic, which is he restates Shantadeva's advice about worry. No point in worrying. So he says, Shanti, just paraphrasing, if you can have a problem, of course we have a huge problem, the world's got a problem now, you either fix it, do what you can to fix it, and if you can't fix it, don't worry. What is the point? All you're doing is disturbing your mind if you're worrying. So even though that sounds so simple, it's incredibly profound. So we can take steps, which we've been told, to minimize the risk of catching this disease. So definitely we can take steps, but we can't do a great deal. But we can just follow the advice, take steps. After we've done that, we've done all we can. And so as much as possible, just try and not worry, because we've done all we can. Protecting our minds is what really we can do. We can't change the outside world. We can change our minds, our attitudes. So it is a major opportunity to see how we can remain calm in a very changeable, turbulent situation. The other thing, I looked at Geshe Zopa, a wonderful Geshe who's taught at the eye and travels around Australia teaching. Geshe Zopa says, he points out actually that this is samsara, remember impermanence, and if we just apply the teachings, if we're not enlightened, we're going to be in samsara, which means that we're going to be in a world that really beyond our control. We have birth, aging, sickness and death, all the different kinds of suffering as sentient beings in samsara. So we definitely have to expect unexpected changes to the world, to the outside world. And he says, also very profoundly says that the temptation is to think as soon as the virus is over, then everything's going to be perfect, back to normal. If only we could have everything back to the way it was. Remember that back to normal is still in samsara. We're still unenlightened beings. After this, there'll still be all the problems of just being in a suffering state, and we'll still be subject to the normal things that happen when we're in a human body, aging human body, subject to sickness, things that could change at any moment. So all this, he says, is just a reminder of the situation we're in and were in before the virus, are still in, and after the virus is over, we're still in samsara. So we still need to do our practices. We have access to incredible teachers. We've got the complete path to liberation. We've got the human body, human brain to actually do study and meditation. So so we just need to recognize that what we're experiencing shouldn't be too surprising. It's just an example of samsaric suffering. Everybody's going through it. But this is a particularly vivid example of how everyone is subject to suffering when we don't want it. So with this meditation on impermanence, which we've done before, it's just recognizing that constant change is the reality of things. Recognizing constant change helps us to understand the nature of impermanence, how everything is subject to causes and conditions. Nothing is concretely existing from its own side. And as the causes and conditions change, circumstances change. So intellectually, of course, so simple, we can say, oh, of course, everything changes. We know that we get older. We know that we see change in the outside world. But when we're confronted with a real vivid example, such as now, it's easy to be shocked. So this is an example of good meditation to experience the profundity of change. And as Kathleen MacDonald says in her introduction to this meditation, it's the cause of all our problems, clinging to things as if they are permanent, seeing the difficult person as always difficult, and seeing ourselves as always not clever, unenlightened, not wise. How could I ever be enlightened? So having these for negative views of either the so-called enemy or our own shortcomings. So by letting go of these fixed images, we can really liberate the mind and recognize that by letting go of these expectations that things will not change, then we have this wonderful feeling of freedom, recognition, recognition that external phenomena we can't do much about, but we can change our minds, our attitudes. And transforming our minds is really what this practice is about. These two phrases are very useful. This too will pass. This too will pass, whatever experiences I'm going through, pleasurable, unpleasurable, suffering, not suffering, they will pass. And so it's a matter of loosening our view, letting go. So in the actual practice, time's going on, we start with the body and actually look very closely at the change happening at the subatomic level, and then how the body's aging and so on, and how we're subject to unexpected sickness. Then how other bodies, people's bodies are changing, how we've lost friends, relatives, pets, and so on. Another example of permanence, separation. And then we look at our minds, how the mind's actually flashing through thoughts and images and feelings, constantly moving through our mind. Then acknowledging that the negative states of mind, but which are based on wrong conceptions, ignorance, they can be eradicated, like clouds in the sky. Positive inclinations and potentials we have are on a firm base, a valid base, so they can actually be infinitely extended and enhanced until we become enlightened. It's the whole point of the Buddha's teachings. We can become enlightened. So then we look at the external world, how external world's changing. Terrific example, how our external world changed within a few weeks from this tiny invisible virus, a cell, or collection of atoms, invisible. And a few weeks later, we've got such profound physical changes in the world. So, so all this leads to the conclusion that our bodies, our minds, and all external phenomena in a constant state of change. And by accepting this, we come closer to a realization of emptiness. Everything subject to cause conditions, our inherent existence, helps us develop compassion because we all realize we're in the same situation, and also renunciation, grasping it. Our external world is not going to help. Using our internal wisdom resources is the way to go. Okay, so we'll try and fix that in for the last 15 minutes. Okay. So let's just start just a few moments with breathing meditation, coming into the mind and body. So if we begin our practice on impermanence, firstly bringing our attention into our body, our physical body, contemplating the reality of the body made of parts, organs. These large components are made up of infinitely small cells, atoms, molecules, particularly the cells, which we know are constantly decaying and reforming, renewing. Over a period of weeks or months, our entire body, every cell has been replaced. The constant flow of the breath in and out of the body changes the oxygen into carbon dioxide, mixing with the blood, bringing nutrients into the body, digesting the food, body eliminating the waste. So this momentary change of the body leads to the gradual, less visible change, aging of the body, thinking of the body the way it was when they were young. And now the body as it is now, a gradual change of the appearance of the body. Imagining how a body will look in 10 or 20 years' time. So letting go of this fixed view of the look of our body, the appearance of the body, certainly is changing. And then recognizing that eventually we'll have to leave the body. The body is just here temporarily. At the time of death, the mind will leave the body. At that time, nothing we can do, our friends cannot help, our loved ones, our money, our material possessions. All that can help at that time is our mind. So our body is permanent, constantly changing and aging. Also the body of other beings, which we've noticed as we live, when we lose close friends, animals, our pets, acknowledging this is all part of impermanence. So this constant, repeatedly contemplation of this change, certainty of impermanence, will help us when it's time to face grief and we lose our loved ones, and when we face our own, our death. And while we have this ever-changing body, thinking now of the mind, just thinking of the flashing different mental experiences when we meditate, the thoughts, the memories, the images, the emotions that come and go through the mind. Those moments of pleasure, bliss, and moments of anxiety, depression, worry. The Buddha's teachings say that each meeting of the pleasant or unpleasant experience will be followed by a parting, an end of that experience, an end of the unpleasant, an end of the pleasant. Each meeting is followed by a parting. Similarly, our negative states of mind, attachment, anger, ignorance, all based on wrong conceptions. Wrong conceptions have no firm foundation. They're based on ignorance, misconceptions. They can be eradicated. They're impermanent. We can purify past negative karma, past actions of body, speech, and mind, negative ones. And they can be transformed. Having Buddha nature, the clear stainless sky of our Buddha nature, allows us to accumulate positive imprints in the mind like compassion, non-attachment, wisdom to an infinite degree. We're just moving from the body's impermanence, the mind's impermanence, now the external world's impermanence. This room where we're sitting appears to be very solid, unchanging. But at the microscopic level, each atom is changing moment by moment. Same with the external world of the man-made city, the cars, the bridges, the buildings. The natural world, plants, animals, the seasons, climate change. External world, which at times can look very seductive, comfortable, can suddenly be transformed as it has in the last few weeks. Our invisible collection of molecules, the virus, sickness and death, can change the economies of the whole world. So it's not difficult in these circumstances to acknowledge the changing of the physical world, moment by moment. All these phenomena, because of the changes, because all phenomena are subject to causes and conditions. They are all dependent on causes and conditions. They're not independent. Again, the virus itself is subject to causes and conditions. All sicknesses subject to causes and conditions, which will change eventually. That particular effect of causes will disappear. But once it does, we're still in samsara, subject to birth, aging, sickness and death. Again, all of us wanted suffering. From that, the realization of compassion. We are all in this together, all suffering, as long as we're in samsara. Developing that sense of common humanity. Looking outward. I am one, all sentient beings, infinite. So the conclusion is, by acknowledging and experiencing in our minds impermanence, helps us to let go of our hold, our grasping, external world. Our grasping the pleasant, rejection of the unpleasant. This is renunciation. It helps us develop renunciation. Taking refuge in our own Buddha potential, our Buddha nature. And take refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha to achieve that Buddha nature. Also helps us develop loving kindness, compassion, the common humanity that we all suffering, we all want happiness. And then the understanding of wisdom. Nothing exists on its own side, or phenomena depending on causes and conditions. This realization helps us to loosen our grasping, living with less attachment, easier going, a more compassionate, easygoing mind. So just to end, I'll read Mama Soka Rinpoche's dedication. Dedication at the end of advice that he gave, which is available online on YouTube, on how to deal with the pandemic. He says, this is how to dedicate at the end of our practice. Due to the merits of the 3 times collected by me, the numberless Buddhas, numberless sentient beings, May all wars, famine, sickness, torture, poverty, and economic problems in the world, and all the dangers of the earth, water, fire, and wind elements be pacified immediately. May perfect peace and happiness prevail in everyone's hearts and lives. May the Buddha Dharma last for a long time, and may the sentient beings in this world meet the Buddha Dharma and achieve enlightenment as quickly as possible, dedicating all our practices to that cause, that outcome. So I think we've just gone over time. I'm not quite sure what happens if we go over time, whether that just cuts off. So I better end stream. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for your patience once again. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful, calm, and meaningful day. And I'll see you next week at the same time. Thank you. Ending the stream.